Welcome to our coverage of the 2020 NHL Trade Deadline Day here at Enterprise Center. I'm Ashley Weiss, joined by Blues General Manager Doug Armstrong. Now, Doug, no moves for you this morning. You stopped at last week's trade for Marco Scandella, but before we dive into that, what was your approach heading into this morning?
We really felt that we were in the listening mode. If something had have come across our desk that made sense, it was a situation where we're getting Vladdy back. We think he should be back hopefully within the next few weeks. That's a huge addition to us, and when that does happen, he'll have to come off of long-term injury. So it was a cap situation also.
Well, as I mentioned last week, in the light of the Jay Bouwmeester situation, you made a trade for Marco Scandella. Only 3 games for him now, but the team's only allowed 2 goals in those 3 games. How have you felt about the way he's meshed so far?
Quite honestly, this is what we expected when we got him. He's a big, rangy player, quite a bit like Jay in the sense that he can kill lots of plays with his sticks. His stick, very good partner for Tarasenko. We saw last night his offense a little bit. He can jump into the attack and he can skate, got a good shot. So early returns are positive, and hopefully he continue to play like that with Colton.
Now, this is 2 trade deadlines in a row that you've shown a lot of confidence in your group and not made any big moves. Last year at this time, the team was really just starting to hit their stride. And this year, as the defending Cup champions, they're at the top in the West. Does it almost feel like the last 2 years the team has kind of made the decisions for you on this day?
Yeah, they've certainly made it where we weren't going to subtract from the team. And the additions, obviously the news on Jay last week, getting Scandella in, I think, was to support that group. But no, they've earned the right to stay together. We're top in the West. Most of the heavy lifting, it looks like it was done from the Eastern Conference side. I know Edmonton made a couple of acquisitions. Ken Holland brought in some former Red Wing players, and Vegas added to their goaltending depth, but a lot of the heavy lifting was done in the East, and we're very comfortable and happy where we're at in the West.
Having said that, you did kind of go from being the hunters last season to definitely being the hunted this season. Does that change your strategy at all heading into this year?
No, not really. I think every year is a year on its own. We enjoyed last year. We enjoyed the results in the summer, but we got back to work now, and we're focusing right now on building what the guys have done the last 4 games, finishing strong and making the postseason, and hopefully doing some damage.
Now, you mentioned his name, but if Vladimir Tarasenko is still on pace to return, you must be feeling really good about that acquisition. That's about as big of an acquisition as you can get heading into the playoffs.
Oh, exactly. You know, the sooner we can get Vladdy back, the better. I'd like to see him get as many games in as possible to get his timing back before the postseason, and he's working very hard. I know he's excited. He's traveled with our team the last road trip, which is always a good sign to getting skated with and by our coaches. So things are good, and no, we weren't going to find a Vladimir Tarasenko at the trade deadline.
Having said that, how much more confidence does it give you even in the younger guys in the way that they have stepped up in his absence?
Well, I think we're very happy. Robert Thomas is the player that we had talked to our fan base about a couple of years ago, and we saw that at the second half of last year and all of this year. Jordan Kyrou is getting an opportunity. Playing very well, moving around up and down the lineup, gives Craig some flexibility. So we're excited about our depth. We're excited about our young guys, and but we're still led by our old war horses, and Shen and Schwartz and Pietrangelo and Tarasenko and Steen and Bozak, and they're going to have to do the heavy lifting. But there's the future is bright, past these players.
You mentioned his name, so just a little bit of housekeeping. Tyler Bozak has missed the last couple of games with a lower body injury. Any update on him?
Day to day, we hope to get him back in on this homestand.
All right, big homestand coming up, and then a lot of road heavy play coming up right in the thick of this playoff races. It's when it starts really getting fun. Yeah,
it's the best time of year. Everyone's scoreboard watching now. The races around the NHL are so tight, and the difference is a razor thin. Whether it's in every division. You look at Pittsburgh loaded up and Washington loaded up, and one of those teams, barring something, are going to be out after 2 rounds. You look at Tampa's loaded up and Boston's loaded up, and one of those 2 teams is going to be out if everyone holds serve in the first round after 2. So it's going to be really interesting, and our job is to try and play as strong as we can to get the highest seed as possible.
All right, Doug. Well, thank you so much for doing this. The Blues back at it versus the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow, and that'll do it for your 2020 NHL Trade Deadline coverage.